Hey everybody, so today I am here to do my July Q&A. You guys are actually seeing this in the beginning of August, but I wanted to give you a break from all the chitter chatter videos. I'd promised you that recipe video, so that was Tuesday's upload. You guys are seeing this on Thursday, but I'm in my comfy clothes. It's just been kind of like a chill day, and I thought what better way to enjoy a chill day than do a Q&A, because I really like doing these. I have a really busy week, so that's the reason why I'm recording all my videos this weekend, because I got lots of doctor's appointments. So I asked for questions over on my Instagram and also in the community tab here on YouTube, and I'm just going to get started because I have a lot of questions. I'm going to try to get through as many as I can. The first question is my favorite crock pot recipes, and for those you're going to have to stay tuned because I'm going to be making recipe videos on my favorite dishes. But I will say, like, cowboy casserole, there's a like the sausage thing I make with sausage, potatoes, carrots, green beans, stuff like that. I don't really have a name for it. I just make it. It's something I've made for years. I'm trying to think off the top of my head. My roast is a really good recipe I like. Just so many. If you follow me over on my Pinterest page, you know I have like a ton of different ones. I'm always pinning. I'm trying new things. I will say a lot of the time on Pinterest, recipes don't end up working out. I would say I've had more fails from my crock pot recipes off of Pinterest than I've had successes. So anyways, the next question is, what is your favorite thing about being a mama and your favorite thing about Sophie and Remy? And I guess I would say the first thing that comes to mind without thinking about the question too in depth is just the fact that I get to be their mom in particular. I guess that answers both questions. Like, what I love most about them and what I love most about being a mom is that I get to be their mom. And that might sound a little strange, but just like obviously being so close, knowing them very well, and just, I don't know, I feel very privileged to be their mom in particular. The next question is, did or do you have a gender preference this time around? If you did your feelings change after having miscarried? We had one, I guess, before we started trying. I guess basically ever since having Remy, we kind of figured, you know, we have two girls, it'd be nice to have a boy. But I would say now we really don't care. And that wasn't necessarily because of the miscarriage. It was just, I don't know, something like a feeling that just came to me. I know that some people really struggle with having a gender preference, and you know, then they feel bad for having that because they feel like other people might judge them. So don't think that you're alone. You know, if you do have a gender preference, and even if you find out your baby isn't that gender and you're having a hard time dealing with that, don't beat yourself up. I know a lot of people have been in that situation. So to answer your question, we did, but not so much anymore. And the next question is, what's your best first time mom advice, and what did you pack for labor and delivery? Well, with both my girls, I had C-sections, so if you still want to see what I packed and everything, I'll leave a link down below and also in the cards for you guys to see what I packed to the hospital. I wasn't on YouTube when I was having Sophie, so I never recorded that, but I talk in that video about the differences between Sophie's hospital bag and one I packed for Remy. But as far as my best first time mom advice, I think one of the biggest things would be to know that in 2018, while there might be a lot of pressure for you to make every single parenting choice the best one you can possibly make it, cut yourself some slack. I remember being like 28 weeks pregnant or something with Sophie and reading this article about a mom who had been searching for like 6 hours over the best vitamins for her kid, and it just made her reflect on how there's so much pressure just to make every right decision, to be conscious about every single thing. And you know, I think that we're parenting and raising children in a lot different times than other generations, and there's going to be times where they tell you, well, you know, we did this and you lived, or this, we did this way and you know, you're just fine and stuff like that. And you're going to get a lot of advice, you're going to have a lot of pressure, there's going to be feeling like there's a lot of decisions to make, but just try to take it easy on yourself, because literally no one has all the answers, even if they're trying to make it seem like that. Trust me, I read this quote on Pinterest the other day. It was like, every parent is losing their shit. Some just hide it better than others, and it's really true, honestly. So I guess it would be just don't be so hard on yourself. It is hard to be a parent in this kind of time, but try to cut yourself slack where you can. And I would also say take care of yourself, take care of your relationship if you're in one, because you know, those things matter before having kids. They definitely matter after having kids. That cliche saying you can't fill from an empty cup is entirely true. You know, taking care of yourself is part of taking care of your kids. So whatever that looks like, also embrace that as well. I guess those are the two things I would probably say to a new mom if she was asking. And the next question is advice for a mother of one becoming a mother of two. What to expect was a hard transition. I also made a video on this, so if you want to hear me talk for 30 minutes about it really in depth, I'll link that video as well. But it was a hard transition for us. Honestly, I really didn't expect it to be. I figured my girls are gonna be close in age. Yeah, it's gonna be hard, but you know, whatever. But I think I underestimated the fact that I would have a newborn's needs stacked on top of toddler needs, which toddler needs were completely new to me. So even though the idea of having a newborn wasn't new, it's something that we had done before, I hadn't realized that I was still going through things and learning with Sophie when she was growing into a toddler, going through those trying times, especially when they have a hard time communicating what they want, because Sophie was 1.5 when her sister was born. And it was really hard. And Remy was also medically needy when she was an infant, so there was a lot of like I don't know how to put that, like there was just like a lot of exhaustion and stuff there, and it just definitely added some weight. But you know, you'll get there. I think the biggest mistake I made was having an expectation of myself of I'll be back to doing this then, and you know, just expecting myself to have it all together. And it's like you're literally adding a entire another person to your family. Cut yourself some slack, okay? It's gonna take some time. So if you don't have a routine, that's completely all right. You know, I don't think that I had a routine even started between like 6 to 9 months of Remy being alive. So, you know, it's gonna be a mess for a while, but then you start to get into the routine of it. Just like with your first kid, you know, it's all strange and scary when they're here and no one knows what they're doing and you feel totally out of your league. But the more you do it, the more you get into a routine, the more it just becomes part of your life. Like now I don't know what I would do without having 2 kids. There's definitely a lot of things that go into it, but that was pretty much my takeaway. And everybody has a different perspective too. I've heard people say that having 2 kids wasn't hard, but having 3 was like the worst. Not the worst, but like the hardest and stuff like that. So everybody's different, but for me personally, that's what I experienced. Next question, any advice to Mama's TTC again? I don't know. Just try to go with the flow, I guess. And I know that's really hard, especially when it's the emotions and the thoughts, everything surrounding trying to conceive, wanting to get pregnant, wanting to add to your family again. Those are some really heavy and deep emotions. So it's hard to go with the flow, especially if you're like a grade A control freak like myself. But that's what I've learned, you know, don't have any expectations, do what you can, you know, take care of yourself, and just, I don't know, that's really all I can say, because, you know, we've had kind of like a rocky journey so far in trying to conceive again and trying to bring another baby home. And I think that's just my biggest takeaway. You know, again, we just had expectations we shouldn't have had for ourselves. And then also taking care of myself. I kind of let trying to conceive be my full focus for a while. And I just learned that wasn't healthy. You got to come up for air. You got to find other things that bring you joy, because especially if trying to conceive doesn't go the way you want to, having that be your main focus will just kind of suck you dry. So I would just say, take care of yourself, try to go with the flow, do what you can. Mostly take care of yourself. Next question, what are your favorite YouTube channels to watch? I got this question quite a few times in a lot of different ways. And what is your dream vacation? As far as YouTube channels to watch, quite honestly, after the miscarriage, I stopped watching a lot of the mom-related content that I was used to, Not necessarily because I felt any way, shape, or form about it. I don't know, it's just hard to explain. I wanted content that was going to make me laugh, things that were going to distract me, you know, not more stuff that was going to pull me back into my emotions. And I would say the number one things that I was watching was Jenna and Julian's podcast and also Jenna Marbles. Those were only like weekly videos, and quite frankly, I just kind of stayed off YouTube. But ever since being back, I stayed off YouTube, but I was still uploading. I wasn't on YouTube as like a consumer, but I'm gonna look at my subscriptions right now because, you know, I don't even really know all the people that I'm subscribed to. I will say there's two that I watch pretty much religiously anytime they ever put up a video, and that is Crystal from Crystal's Life and also Chrissy from Luna Mommy Vlogs. I will have their channels linked below because I love them. I've been following them. Crystal, I think, for like well over a year now, but I've followed Chrissy for like years. I think even before I ever started my own channel on YouTube. And there's, let me see, I'm going through them right now. I like watching Ayla and Caleb. They're a couple that have struggled with infertility and they recently got pregnant, so I've been following their journey a lot. And then I've been watching, I don't know, nothing comes to mind besides Crystal, Chrissy, the podcast, and Jenna's channel. And I just started watching Ayla and Caleb again because, like I said, I took a little break from all that. But I watch a little bit of Pretty Neat Living. I had a lot of recommendations for that channel to watch over my Instagram, and I've followed her for a really long time. I'm kind of getting more into the swing of getting back and like consuming YouTube videos how I used to. So if you guys have any good mom-related channels, mommy content, or even not, leave me recommendations down below. I will say the things that Mark and I watch the most are Jenna's videos and also Philip DeFranco. We watch that every night during the week. And what is my dream vacation? Probably, definitely going to Paris. I don't remember when this started, but I have always really loved Paris. Like I said, I have no idea where it started, but it did, and it took off, and I would really love to visit there one day. But really all of Europe, quite frankly, all of Europe, just like one of those kind of all over the place kind of vacations. I would love to do that. Love to do it. But I would really like to see a whole bunch of different places. I've been watching a lot of documentaries about different places, and there's just so many places in this world that are beautiful, whether it's like, you know, in Asia or Europe or Australia or South America or North America, because there's parts of North America I haven't even seen. In my own country, I haven't even been to that many states. There's just a lot of places in the United States that I would also like to see too, but like, I don't know. I think traveling is going to be something that I want to do more and more because I've just been paying attention to other places in the world and they're so beautiful. But personally, something that I've always wanted to do was go to Paris. Next question, when will you let your girls play video games and what games will you choose? And this is kind of interesting. Mark and I had this conversation, I think maybe like a year or so ago. And I will say that technically Sophie has played video games, meaning that Mark has a game called Assassin's Creed, and he can put it on this mode where she can just walk around and be amongst people. Like, she's technically the assassin, but she, you know, like, she doesn't know how to work anything or hit anybody, so she's just walking around amongst people and swimming and getting on boats and stuff, and she really likes that. She thinks that's really cool. So we've got her kind of in the realm of video games. She loves watching Mark and I play and stuff like that. She's very much interested in it. I know some people kind of have harsher feelings about video games. Quite frankly, that's just some ways that parents bond with their kids. And I don't see it any different than people who like to go fishing or like to go hunting or like to do, you know, stuff like that, maybe outdoorsy kind of things. Whereas like this involves being at home and inside. I think there's sometimes a negative connotation with that. As far as like what games, just as long as they're appropriate, you know, like I'm not gonna let my kids like play Grand Theft Auto at, you know, 3 years old, stuff like that, you know, things that just make sense. And I think it also deals on personal maturity because, you know, when I was 16, I got to play zombie games and stuff like that. And I was mature enough to handle that. You know, I didn't find them scary. I wasn't up crying in the middle of the night because I was scared or anything like that. So I think that's more of like a personal basis, and we'll just have to see how it goes. But we are very much all right with bringing our kids on board with video games. And the next question is, do you have a college degree or plan to go to college? If yes, what would it be or what is it? No, I went to college for all of a hot month before I promptly quit and I started cosmetology school. And I went to college mainly because it was expected of me. I did really well in high school. I like learning, I like school. I didn't have a problem with that aspect, but I went to college and I quickly realized that I was pursuing things that I was not interested in and that weren't going to bring me joy. And quite frankly, I wasn't sure what those things were, so I dropped out. And I kind of took the time to realize what I wanted to do, and that was cosmetology school. So I signed up for that, and I am a licensed managing cosmetologist. Although I think, yeah, what is it now? Ohio changed it. It's like advanced cosmetology or something. I don't know. I don't know what it is anymore, but I went to school for that, and that's what I have my license in. And a lot of you might know that I recently took a course last year, also kind of the year before, and I am a certified breastfeeding specialist, but I do not have a college degree. No, I do not. Next question. What are, if any, the routines or things you miss from your exclusively pumping journey, and in the future, will you do it again and why? I just miss breastfeeding. It's so funny. It's so funny. If you guys watch my weaning videos, the videos where I was going back and forth on whether or not I should wean, stuff like that, I was very much like in turmoil. Like I wanted to be done. I felt exhausted. I was just ready for it. And now I would love to breastfeed again. So grass is always greener, but there's not really anything in particular I miss. I just miss breastfeeding. But yes, I will exclusively pump again. I get this question a lot, and I do plan to exclusively pump with any future children. I also get the question as to why I'm choosing to exclusively pump, and it's because it's what makes me the most comfortable. The next question is, do you and Mark disagree on anything parenting wise? What type of mom do you consider yourself? Do you color your hair? How do you relieve stress? And what is your biggest pet peeve? As far as do Mark and I disagree on anything parenting wise, no, not really. Not anything substantial. And I think, I don't know, we kind of knew that going in. Mark and I don't think that I would have chose to have children with somebody that I disagreed on some really profound things about. And that's not even like just parenting. I don't think I would have committed my life to somebody where like we couldn't agree on really important stuff to one another. Of course, having differing opinions is great, different points of view. That adds conversation and discussion. Love that. But if you just wholeheartedly can't agree on some like foundational kind of stuff, that's going to cause some problems. So we don't, but there's definitely little things that we disagree about, maybe handling of situations and what we should do here or there and stuff like that. Also some of Sophie's schooling things, just little aspects about that, you know, we can disagree about, but big things, not really. Number two, what type of mom do you consider yourself to be? And she mentioned free range, helicopter, crunchy, etc. And I looked into the different types of moms because I've heard of them, but I didn't know if I really fit any. And I don't think I do. Because, you know, for instance, the free range freaks me out. Free range gives me hives just thinking about it. But also, a helicopter mom is not what I'm trying to be either. That also just makes me exhausted thinking about it. And as far as like crunchy, I try to be on the more natural side of things, but my kids also eat McDonald's. They have ice cream and hot dogs and popsicles and stuff like that. I don't know. And even like a working mom versus a stay-at-home mom, I feel like I'm also in between there. And it's just kind of strange, you know, like I mentioned in the beginning of the video, in 2018, it's really hard to be a parent. There's a lot of things apparently expected of you. And exactly by who, I'm not sure. Maybe it's a lot of, like, ourselves, but I just try to meet in the middle. You know, I feel like being either end of those things could really be exhausting and tiring on you. So I just try to do my best in every situation for my kids. So I don't really know what type of mom I would consider myself to be, other than just like an average mom. Okay, I'm gonna sit like this for a bit because my leg is literally so asleep it feels cold. So I'm gonna put some blood back into that thing. The next question was, do I color my hair? No, this is my natural hair color. And when I do have to eventually dye it, I'm definitely gonna still be a redhead, but I think I might change up the color, like a more intense red color. Number 4, how do you relieve stress? I guess I would do that in different ways. It just kind of depends. I would say hot showers, relaxing at night when everybody's in bed, just chilling out, enjoying the silence, you know, maybe watching a couple episodes of something on TV. And when days are really rough, some chocolate and alcohol, if I can or if it's needed. And the next question is, what is your biggest pet peeve? I would say waste. I've said this before, I think, now that I said that out loud. Just anything. Like if I buy something and I don't use it, that irritates me. If, you know, I'm trying to talk to somebody and they're kind of like wasting my time, that irritates me. Like I'm not perfect though, you know, like I'm not like a zero waste household or anything like that, but like I think that that's just something that irritates me the most, is wasting mine or other people's time buying things, not using them, like wasting money, stuff like that. Next question. I'm due in August and wondering how early I can start pumping. Should I take my pump to the hospital and pump my colostrum or wait until my milk comes in? This, of course, is a case-by-case thing, but really there's no reason to pump before your baby's born. And if you want to, you need to talk to your OBGYN to see if it's safe for you, because for some people it's just a total no, you can't. But other people are allowed, so it just really depends on your personal situation. So that's why I would talk to your healthcare provider. And as far as should you take the pump to your hospital, that's up to you. And that's kind of a question you'd have to look more into. If your hospital has pumps there that you can use if you need one, then I would say probably don't. There's no really any reason to bring it to the hospital. But if you plan to exclusively pump, they tell you, well, there's some available, but you know, it's all about first come, first serve, or if they don't have any available, I would take it with you, you know. But I'm also one of those people who I'd rather pack something and not need it than not pack it and need it. So, next question. I hope this isn't too soon, but when the next baby comes, will you be reviewing all the new pumps that have come out? Yes, there's so many different pumps I get asked about a lot, things that I did not get to try when I was still exclusively pumping with Remy. You know, at the end of my journey, I wasn't looking to take on any more reviews just because I was trying to wean for a really long time, and I didn't want to add new stuff, new pumps, and things like that to the equation. But when I am breastfeeding again, I definitely will. Next question is, for food shopping, do you and Mark and the girls do it together? Do you wait until Mark gets home, or do you brave it and take both girls? No. Mark stays with the girls while I go grocery shopping. And that's part of like me getting out and being a stay-at-home mom and having a little bit of time to myself. Sounds silly. I know a lot of people don't like grocery shopping, but to have those few hours to myself feels really nice. So I wait until he gets home. He watches the girls. I go out. He will give the girls dinner, and I typically bring something back for us to eat because I do get back a little bit later. But we used to shop with Sophie, and it was kind of a nightmare. I would just like, I'm trying to focus on the things that we need because I'm a budget and grocery list kind of person. So like I'm trying to focus on the things that we need to get, and she's crying, screaming, throwing stuff, and Mark's trying to calm her down, and I'm just like, can you two do this at home? Next question is, if you have people over at your home, do you still manage to get the girls' bed girls to bed on time, or do they keep the same schedule? Do you not let people stay past a certain time? No. When people are over, I'm a lot more lenient on bedtime because, you know, they've got 99% of the time they go to bed when they're supposed to go to bed. So if people are over to see them, spend time with them, especially if it's people they haven't seen for a while, I'm a lot more relaxed. But they definitely don't go to bed any later than like 9 o'clock, because after that they become like terror, basically. I only know that because like on holidays that's harder, so if we go somewhere for like Christmas Eve, Thanksgiving, stuff like that, and we're out kind of late, I've seen them what they're like at 9:30, and let me just say, it scares me, and it should scare you. So, you know, we tell people it's the best in everybody's interest if we leave by like 8:30. So no, when people do come over, they're allowed to stay for however long they want, and the girls typically go to bed like an hour later. So we have a little bit of flexibility on that. Next question is, how did you manage pumping at night and baby waking for feeding in the first months? I'm currently getting up at midnight, 3 a.m. and 6 a.m. and sometimes my baby wakes me up to eat and I'm exhausted. I hear you. And I will say that in those early days, I would get up to pump and Mark would get up to feed baby. So that's the way we split it. I have had some pushback on that kind of comment before, but that is something he's comfortable with and that I'm comfortable with, you know? So I know that might not be doable for everybody, especially if it's just yourself taking care of baby, but in that case, I would try to be in the kind of schedule that allows you to have a bottle ready for when baby wakes up, and then you would pump after they eat and they've fallen back asleep. You know, if you can maneuver your schedule that way, that'll help a lot. So I find that babies sleep the best at night right after they get a nice warm bottle. So if you can pump after that they go to sleep, that might help relieve some of that stuff for you. But it's completely normal to be exhausted. Just hang in there. This won't be forever. The final question for this Q&A is, did you always know you'd have kids early, and if so, why? I would say no. Quite frankly, before I met Mark, I didn't even think that I wanted to get married. I didn't really want to have kids. I just didn't think that I'd find the person that I really wanted to commit all that to. And then I met him and things changed. And I don't even think in meeting him that I expected certain age to be certain things. You know, I just kind of took it by how things felt. You know, I am a younger mom, but at the same time, I don't know. I don't really see as age being the defining factor of how mature somebody is. So we felt very much ready to have kids and stuff like that. So to answer your question, I guess I would say not really. Before Mark, I didn't think I'd even have kids. And after knowing him for a while, I still, you know, didn't really know when that was going to happen. Obviously, we talked about wanting them together, but, you know, we didn't have like a definite plan of, okay, in 3 years, this is what we're going to do or anything like that. It was just kind of very much by how we felt. So that is all the questions that I have for the July Q&A. In August, you will get a monthly favorites, and you won't see another Q&A until September. But if you want to submit your questions for the next Q&A, make sure you follow me on Instagram. You watch out on the community tab for when I post that, because that is where I ask for the questions at. Thank you so much for submitting all the questions that you did for this month, but I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and as always, thanks for watching.